Donald Trump is promising to lower drug prices for America. That's the news for the day. And I'm sure no one is going to talk about anything else.
Brand new bombshell reporting from the Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal reporting that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump back in May that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files.
No. You're best friends. You're best friends with a pedophile for 10 years, one time, and the world never forgets it. But yeah, this whole time, Trump already knew he was in the Epstein files, which is a good reminder that if someone's acting guilty, they're probably guilty. No one's ever going to be like, don't look at my browser history. You'll see all the charities I volunteer for. But the good news for Trump is this is America. We don't read. As long as there's no video coming out, he should be A-OK.
CNN exclusive. Newly uncovered photos and video offers a new look at President Trump's past ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Here you see the opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe. Months later, some new photos reveal Epstein walking into the Plaza Hotel to attend Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. There's also what was found in this review of archival footage from a 1999 Victoria's Secret fashion show, which reveals, as you see, the two men chatting, laughing with one another on the sidelines of that event.
It's getting to the point where it's harder and harder to find a photo of Donald Trump without Jeffrey Epstein in it. As Donald Trump, your only hope is to be like, hey, I take pictures with lots of people, all right? I'm in pictures with OJ, Diddy. I'm in pictures with Harvey Weinstein. That's not helping. I'm going to stop. And they're not just in the video. Look at the chemistry they have. And this is genuinely unfortunate and unfair to Trump. But the way the camera highlighted the two of them makes it look like a giant heart on a kiss cam. What makes me feel terrible is I don't have a friend that I'm as close with as Trump was to Epstein, you know? They're making drawings for each other, laughing, showing up to weddings, going to shows together. The only way my friends hang out with me that much is if we're both holding Xbox controllers. The point is, CNN found all this new footage, and Trump didn't really appreciate it.
You actually called President Trump directly to ask him about this story?
Yeah, we weren't on the phone very long. It only lasted about 30 seconds. But when I got him on the phone, I asked him about the wedding photos. He kind of paused and then said, "You've got to be kidding me." He then called CNN and me fake news a few times, and then he hung up the phone.
Wait, hold on. You can just call Donald Trump and he'll just pick up the phone himself? A president shouldn't be that available, you know? This is like pushing the call button for the flight attendant and then the pilot comes out. Like, it's like, aren't you supposed to be busy? Like, if you're here, then who's in the cockpit? I think this just shows how lonely Trump is. He's answering the phone because he just wants someone to talk to. It's kind of sad. Because remember, his best friend died in prison back in 2019. Jeffrey Epstein died back in 2019, but not since Tupac Shakur has a dead man dropped so many bangers, all right? Yesterday, video of the government questioning him back in 2010 started making the rounds, and you'll never guess whose name came up. Go ahead, guess.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put that down as a yes. I'll be honest, I've never heard anybody plead anything other than the 5th before. But this guy's so guilty, he's calling out every amendment he can think of. Like, no, what's the one with the women voting? 19, throw that in too. Now, this video is dropping less than a day since we found out Pam Bondi reportedly warned Trump back in May that his name was in the files multiple times. And it just so happens her next appearance was scheduled last night at a summit against human trafficking. Pam, show us what you got.
I do have a note from the Attorney General Pam Bondi that I wanted to share. I'm sorry to miss all of my CPAC friends today. Unfortunately, I am recovering from a recently torn cornea, which is preventing me from being with you.
Damn. Even Pam Bondi's cornea is like, release the Epstein files or I quit. I don't even understand this. Like, why does her cornea mean she can't talk? Like, I don't know a lot about women's bodies, and this is embarrassing to ask, but is the cornea in the throat? Like, the only member of the Trump administration that I would believe has an eye injury is FBI Director Kash Patel. I can't tell if that man is blind or can see the future. He always looks like he just saw the Epstein files. Trump has lost total control of the situation. Even his allies in Congress are turning on him.
In an effort to gain clarity, 3 Republicans joined Democrats on the House Oversight Committee to subpoena the Justice Department to give Congress all of the Epstein files.
This fight's coming no matter, this is here. I'm ready to take this vote. I think we should take this vote and move forward, move this country forward, and people deserve transparency.
Nancy Mace, damn. Trump is even losing the white women. Which is great because it means we're getting the white women and we're getting those files, all right? This feels like when you're at the airport and Southwest has delayed you for 23 hours. You're standing in line at customer service and there's a white woman in line in front of you, bubbling harder than Prosecco. She's even doing the And then she turns to you and says, I'm going to say something. And you're like, yes, white lady. Go up there and get that manager for all of us. All right? And it's not just Nancy Mace. This is an issue across the entire Karen American community. All right? Marjorie Taylor Greene wants the files. Lauren Boebert wants a special counsel. She's like, I came to Washington to expose pedophiles and jack people off. And I'm fresh out of people to jack off. Now, it may be surprising that some of the most diehard congressmen are going against Trump on this, but you have to remember that they ultimately just want to be reelected. And right now, their voters are absolutely losing it over this Epstein thing.
How much are your constituents clamoring for more information about Epstein right now?
It's the number one phone call that we get, by far. It's probably 500 to 1.
500 to 1?
Yeah, it's number one phone calls that we get.
I'm sorry, 500 to 1? I want to know about the Epstein files, but that is wild. That means people are calling in 500 times about Jeffrey Epstein for every one caller who's just like, hey, my tap water poison. And I could understand it if everything else in your state is going fine. But this congressman's from Missouri, okay? They have real problems, but they're using all their Boost Mobile minutes on this thing. I'll talk to my kids next month. This Epstein thing is too important. And worst of all for Trump, it's not just his allies in Congress or conservative Americans. He's pissed off his most important base of support. Crazy-ass lunatics.
Jacob Chansley, the QAnon Shaman who became famous for his horned outfit during the January 6th Capitol riot, is lashing out at the man who gave him a pardon. Chansley called the president a fraud.
Wow. Do you know how down bad you are when the guys who went to prison for you are turning on you? I need to stress this real quick. He went to jail for Trump. This would be like if Nelson Mandela came out of prison like, you know what? I'm done with black people. These guys believe in everything but you. Take a look.
He also suggested that the president had defiled a corpse. Billionaire Elon Musk wasn't spared either, with Chansley describing the world's richest man as a baby eater.
This is so bad. That's the thing about QAnon. Like, if Kendrick Lamar wanted to ruin your life, at least he'd do a bunch of research on you and your family. QAnon just comes out and says you're eating spines. And there's no way for you to prove you don't eat spines. In fact, every time you've got some between your teeth, they're like, see, he flossing babies.
As you know, this young man has been embroiled in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking scandal and did what anybody who is innocent, when facing an accusation of this type, did what anybody who was innocent would do. He fled the country. He fled the country, taking a jaunt to bonny old Scotland. That's probably not the right accent. To leave his troubles in the United States behind and finally gain an ocean's distance between himself and the Epstein scandal and focus on his new trade deal with the EU. I'm sorry, yes, you there, from the Inverness Castle Times.
Mr. President, was part of the rush to get this deal done to knock the Jeffrey Epstein story out?
Oh, you got to be kidding with that.
Trump, he's all like, how did you even hear about it? I thought you guys just got Baywatch like 3 months ago. Doesn't anybody here have a question about this trade deal sinking both of our economies with tariffs? How high do I have to make the tariffs before you guys shut the up about Epstein? But of course, how do you expect the media to move on when even Trump has trouble doing so? And so it was, on the day of striking a trade deal with the EU, Donald Trump presented once more, this time for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, his classic Epstein defense, 13 reasons why I'm not involved with a pedophile.
Those files were run by the worst scum on earth. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony.
Which is why I can't release it. It's simple. If I, Donald Trump, was in the files, they would have released it. So clearly I'm not in the files, but of course, I'm clearly in the files. Which makes them phony. I mean, what do they even have on Trump? A creepy drawing Trump gave to Epstein? Please.
I don't do drawings. I'm not a drawing person.
Your Honor, I submit to the court, if there is one thing I would never do, it is draw. As you know, I suffer from tiny hands. I cannot physically even perform the task of drawing. I do not possess the motor skills and muscle strength required. Oh. I cannot draw, not now. Not ever. Although.
Sometimes people say, would you draw a building and I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. But I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you.
I mean, sometimes people would say, would you draw a woman? And I draw a parentheses for breasts and a triangle for bush for charity. For charity. I wouldn't call them drawings, more of a cubist pastiche of punctuation and geometric shapes to trick the eye. Some would see a naked woman, of course. Others would see an old woman holding a falcon, riding a hoverboard. with a triangle for a vagina. Look, the point is this. I don't draw. In Trump's defense, he did end his relationship with Epstein in the aughts. Perhaps a look into why he ended it will exonerate Trump.
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. He did something that was inappropriate.
What he said was Epstein had done something inappropriate, and that's why they're no longer friends. You see, Donald Trump recognized that Epstein had finally crossed a line. Now, if it were me, obviously, giving this explanation in front of reporters, I probably would have stopped there. But since I am not, Trump went on to describe Epstein's inappropriate behavior, and wait till you hear what was the Rubicon that Epstein crossed.
He hired help, and I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata.
Yes. You all know him as Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficker. But I knew his dark side. He was the sex trafficking, I was like, okay. But he was also a low-level employee poacher. And that, I cannot have. Anyway, Mr. President, do you want to slice this bologna any thinner?
By the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
You expect me to believe that Bill Clinton went to the island only 28 times? No way. I mean, if anybody had VIP Diamond Island status, there's probably still parrots alive on that island going, hey, Bill, back again. Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. How you doing, Bill? What's up, Bill? But here goes. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. That is truly the best parrot impression you'll hear. Here comes my favorite part of the defense. Trump's ego and narcissism are so central to his being that even his denial of going to the island comes with a caveat.
I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down.
The privilege? Hey, Donald, want to go to the island this weekend? Well, first of all, Jeffrey, thank you for thinking of me. Unfortunately, that's the weekend that the teen pageant that I bought is installing the indoor security locker room cameras. Obviously, for the Epstein case, Trump has no shortage of caddies willing to shame themselves. Here's Congressman Tim Burchett, pre-Trump, being named in the files.
Congressman, why do you think so many Democrats are committed to protecting the list of a dead pedophile?
Too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. The trash can is very deep. It's not a swamp. It's an open sewer.
It's a sewer. Democrats are all over the plane logs. It's an open sewer. I'm sorry, Trump was also on Epstein's plane? Need a ball drop over here?
You know, President Trump admitted that he flew on his dadgum plane. Just because somebody flew on a plane doesn't mean they're a dadgum pedophile.
Wow. You know what? I always find that the worse it is, the folksier they get. Well, Well, Mr. Trump, he's not a daggone, gosh darn, dag-nabbit pedophile. I mean, kiss my grits. I'll guarantee you he's not using that terminology in other sex offender cases. Well, gosh darn if Diddy ain't 2 biscuits short of a country biscuit. He's 2 biscuits short of a country breakfast, but that don't make everyone at the freak-off cracker-barrelers. I honestly think my favorite thing about this is watching conspiracy theorists have to unravel the red string that they themselves originally strung out. Here's the OG conspiracy theorist Glenn Beck at his excitement for Trump's beginning of the second term.
The only thing I care about is the scandal of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released. Day number 1, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Day 1! Deep state exposed. Oh, I'm sorry, Trump's in the rough? I'll get right on that ball drop.
What the left is saying, and some people now on his team are saying, he's in the report. With 15-year-olds? Really? Do you actually believe that?
I have seen some clips that would be consistent with did buy a teenage beauty pageant. But listen, Beck, you're the master at making connections, so let's see you unconnect it.
I mean, let's be honest. 20 years ago, if, this was like, hey, he was on an island with 25-year-old models, I would be going, probably, okay? 15, 16-year-olds, that's not Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. I don't believe that. Do you? I say, no way that's true.
What? No! You're not, there's no magic X in it. You can't just magic X conspiracy theories. White people being replaced by voting illegal immigrants? No! The X has spoken. But of course, Trump's caddies can't do everything, and it's given Democrats hope that they finally have Donald Trump. For so long, the Democrats have been Wile E. Coyote to Donald Trump's Roadrunner. The Democrats thought they had Trump with the felony convictions. They thought they had Trump with the Access Hollywood tape, but every time he got away. But now, with the reporting on the Epstein files, the only way that this guy wiggles out of this one is if for some reason convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell swears under oath that Trump had nothing to do with it. But why would she do that? Coyote, you finally got the Roadrunner.
Mr. President, you completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when you landed. Is that something you would ever consider, and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon.
Meep, meep.